Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, I bring you greetings. This day, the 16th day of April, the year of our Lord 2018. This day, to me, is a very memorable day. Memorable to me specifically because it is on this day that it is beginning to emerge from the field what we have feared and what we have complained about a long time ago. That as this revolution is progressing, we're going to begin to witness this kind of supportations. I say this because at the time Mr. Atanga was appointed, a lot of people said, oh, it's a non-event. It's not going to do just anything to us. We really don't have to bother so much about it. Let him serve his master. But recall that prior to his appointment, I had come up with communications indicating just the kind of evil tactics that La République du Cameroon from Yaounde was going to be putting in place. And his appointment simply not only confirmed, but heralded, heralded very clearly that the days of those evil moments were fast approaching. And I think we are just there. It is now clear to anyone who was having doubts that Lucifer himself has been positioned to see how to create ever more trouble and more confusion among people he boastfully sometimes says are his. We all listened to Atanga make claims of wanting to bring peace, of wanting to talk peace, of wanting to promote dialogue. We saw him mock at us, holding peace plans across the streets and town halls of Southern Cameroons, but at the same time, with heavily loaded gun, just by him, to describe the situation as holding a peace plant with the left hand and holding a heavily loaded gun with the right hand. And I wonder what kind of peace that really could be he was talking about. And I'm afraid some people even seem to have been buying into that kind of evil narrative coming from someone who had constantly, from day one, been in denial of the fact that there was even a problem in the first place. Now, after his thought, and after, it dawned on him that the people of Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia are determined to go back home, are determined to rupture this unholy union with La République du Cameroon, his claws are fully out. I followed Atanga without any surprise at all on Actualité Hebdo when he said, without mincing his words, that the government he belongs to will not negotiate, will not hold any dialogue with any separatists. So, what was the use carrying peace plans and saying it was a peace offer? When he comes and says he is giving 30 days to all those who have arms and are defending themselves from terrorist soldiers from Yaounde to render in their arms or be squashed, you should understand exactly what that means. This is the same thing that happened before the 17th of January 2017 when Philemon Yang and other members of Mr. Bia's government pretended that they were sitting down to dialogue, to negotiations, and to understandings with representatives of the consortium of English-speaking Cameroon, of Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia, to bring lasting solutions. But when the real problems were put on the table so that a comprehensive solution would be sought, the government resorted to the same kind of ultimatums that we are seeing today. That is how, on the 17th of January 2017, the consortium was banned. The Southern Cameroons National Council, the SCNC, was banned, and repression immediately started. So I wonder what Mr. Atanga thinks he stands to achieve by dishing out such an ultimatum. Our people never declared war against La République du Cameroon. Mr. Paul Biya returned from his trip in Europe and at the airport, at the Simalan airport, declared war on an armless people. And we all know that even before the declaration of war on us, armless Southern Cameroonians, Mr. Paul Biya had already sent his terrorist troops to maim, to rape, to torture, to loot, to destroy. The difference today is that they're actually burning people alive. I'm still to hear any of those so-called elite, those who call themselves elite in government in Yaounde, come out to protest against the burning of their fellow brethren alive. What is Mr. Atanga Ponji talking about then? Did Southern Cameroonians take up arms against La République du Cameroun? Our brothers and sisters are now fighting, not because they wanted to fight. They're fighting because they don't want to die. They're defending themselves. And I want to assure Mr. Atanga Ponji and his government that these arms will not be given to you. We will defend ourselves. Our people will defend themselves right up to the last drop of our blood. I just say this so we know that the days ahead are not going to be interesting. Mr. Atanga Ponji and his evil regime have very evil plans which had been discussed before. There's even an audio circulating of someone who took the pains to send this information out. And I'm sure that some people are listening to the audio and just saying, Aka, what kind of trash is this? This cannot go anywhere. La République du Cameroun is clearly intent on doing what King Pharaoh was determined to do in Egypt at one point. Make sure all the male children that were born in a hospital were across Egypt were killed because he feared that a Messiah was coming from among those children. La République du Cameroun now believes that as long as there are young ebullient men in Southern Cameroons, they will never ever be able to transform us into slaves permanently. For that reason, any vibrant young man living in Southern Cameroons now has to be extremely careful because the days ahead are not going to be good. Also, we have said it over and over, let people stock their homes with whatever they could have and make sure to stay safe because this government has never loved anyone in Southern Cameroons. They have never considered us human beings. And that is why, in the word of Mr. Okalia Bilai Bernard, we were dogs. And we have been treated right up to this moment as such. My dear brothers and sisters of Southern Cameroons, we are witnessing a certain kind of phenomenon right now in the ranks of the Ambazonian fighters who are defending themselves and defending the rest of their villages, defending their old people from being burnt alive. I pointed this out earlier, that Mr. Atanga Ponji's methods consist in causing evil so that he will attach that evil onto other people, thereby giving them a bad name in order to hang them. Today, we are witnessing this situation. If you are a victim of any of your family members being kidnapped and ransoms are being asked, know that those people who are doing those kidnappings are not Ambazonian fighters. At this point, I want to doff my heart to these young boys and girls who have decided to sacrifice their lives to save a people who have undergone torture, who have undergone slavery and servitude for over a century. I want to salute all of you, and I pray that may the Almighty God continue to strengthen you. These are noble gentlemen and women who know exactly what they are fighting for. They don't go out there to take anybody and ask for money. They are fighting to protect the people from the brutality of the soldiers from La République du Cameroun. They are fighting to ensure that these people have a better life tomorrow. They cannot be the same ones extorting. Like we have heard about stories in Kumba, where they even stop farmers from going to their farms and people are afraid to go to far-off farms now, where they are even coming out in daylight, standing in places and sending word that if you don't give money, you will be kidnapped. Those people are not Ambazonian fighters. My dear brothers and sisters, they are not. These people are people who have been positioned by Mr. Atanga Ponji here and there to transform our fight into something else, because we want to use that kind of approach to turn the people against their own sons and daughters who are fighting to liberate them. Why are they doing this? We all heard Governor Okaila Bilai complain that the populations were not supporting the forces of law and order, that they were not taking the side of his forces of law and order, and that for that reason, the forces of law and order were finding it so difficult to be able to, to completely annihilate and subjugate us. It is for that reason they now felt, okay, what are we going to do to turn the population against these people? And so they come up with some people who will come and join and be pretending they are fighting for the freedom of Ambazonia. And they begin taking our own people, the very poor people who are fighting to protect hostage and asking for millions, so that the people will say, these boys have become rascals. These boys are not taking advantage of us. These boys are not good boys. Tomorrow is going to be a bad tomorrow in Ambazonia if we let these children actually free us. My dear brothers and sisters, don't fall in that trap. I am by this calling on all the ground commanders of all the various groups that have come up, constituted themselves to defend themselves from this kind of evil onslaught from La République du Cameroon, to examine themselves, check in your midst, do everything to identify these individuals who are carrying out this kind of acts, expose them, make sure they are thoroughly exposed so that they should be removed from our midst. Southern Cameroonians are a peace-loving people. Southern Cameroonians are people who have wonderful and exemplary attitude. We saw a report indicating that even when they stop drivers, even when they stop cars, they don't take any money from anybody. If they need money for anything, they ask politely, and they take just the amount that's required from whoever gives benevolently. So this kind of evil character that's being brought in our midst is not of us. Let us expose these people, weed them from out of our midst, and ensure that we continue to carry our struggle forward following the very good principles. Yes, send a clear message to Atanga Ponji that his people will not derail our revolution. Send a clear message to Yaounde that we already know some of those people, because even as I'm talking to you, some of them have already been identified, and they will be taken from out of our ranks the fastest possible, so that such evil will not be perpetrated. We are giving our lives to protect our people. We are not giving our lives to extort from our people. Let this be clear to all and sundry. Now, the next piece of information I want to bring is about the meeting that the U.S. ambassador to Cameroon held with some stakeholders in Yaounde on the 3rd day of April 2018 at his residence in Yaounde. A lot of people were not very happy with that meeting. A lot of us felt that the meeting or the participants at the meeting were not representative enough of Southern Cameroons. That is a shared objective. But we also recognize that the ambassador could only deal with people that he could have at his disposal at that point in time, because he will not be able to bring some of the key stakeholders who are in exile abroad, some who are even under detention, because it wouldn't be easily within his powers. But that meeting, all the same, did not go well with Yaounde. And so on the 5th of April 2018, the Prime Minister, Young Philemon, received in audience at 8 a.m. at the Star Building in Yaounde the Minister in charge of Labor and Social Security, Mr. Grégoire Owona, who was also part of that meeting organized by the U.S. ambassador. Mr. Owona was so frightened, so disturbed by the utterances he heard at that meeting, that he decided to inform the Prime Minister to notify the head of state about the meeting. And one of the things they frowned about was that they were so disappointed and angry that the U.S. ambassador to Cameroon in Yaounde organized that meeting without notifying the authorities in Yaounde of his intention to hold the meeting, so that they could help determine who would attend the meeting and who would not. So Mr. Grégoire Owona said this to the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister sent a report to the President of the Republic, which report was able to procure a copy from the Presidency of the Republic. In that report that was forwarded on the 5th of April, Mr. Philemon Young says, according to Grégoire Owona, all the stakeholders who attended that meeting were so negative towards government, that they were so negative against Yaounde, that they all blamed Yaounde for the escalation of our crisis, that they were all extremely frustrated at the approach of the head of state and frustrated at the military option, that they were so disturbed that rather than settling down to hold discussions and talk about the root causes of the crisis, Yaounde was rather anxiously burning down whole villages, destroying, the economy of the region, maiming young people and the likes, thereby turning the population, the vast population of Southern Cameroons against the government. And one interesting thing that comes out from that report is also that that contrary to what Atanga Ponji is trying to say, this report contends that at least 90% of the people of Southern Cameroons are right now no longer interested in any form of union, in any form of relationship with La République du Cameroun. And he particularly singled out Cardinal Christian Toumi for attacks. So they said Cardinal Toumi was so much against Mr. Biya and his government, and that Cardinal Toumi pointed out that the big problem with Cameroon is France, and that France has been supporting all the injustices being perpetrated by Yaounde against the people of Southern Cameroon since the Fumban Accords of 1961. And that Cardinal Toumi pointed out that the big problems Anglophones are facing in Cameroon, or that Southern Cameroonians were facing within that union, was coming from France. And at the end of the day, Mr. Young Philemon said in his discussions with the minister, they were coming up with a suggestion that Yaounde should once more send out teams to go meet key stakeholder nations and start another international campaign, international information campaign, to talk to them, to try, as we know, to brainwash them about their perspective of what is happening, generally, to go out there and say we are terrorists. So we realized that that meeting hurt Yaounde so much because the meeting was not organized at their behest. What we should take home from this is that we, as a people, have made a firm resolve. And even those who disagree with some methods being used generally agree to the importance of us leaving this union. And I want to take this opportunity to commend Christian Cardinal Toumi for his frankness, for being the aged man in the house who will stand out and stand up at every single opportunity to decry such injustices. That said, I want us also to recall that at one occasion I said it is important for us to keep this struggle firmly alive, because Yaounde is being shaken in its marrows daily. I see some people at some point beginning to feel like they should be tired, beginning to feel like, oh, I'm disappointed, things are not going as fast as I expected them to go. This would be a cardinal error. Feeling disappointed, feeling dejected, feeling like withdrawing would be a cardinal error, because right where we are at this point in time, Yaounde is nearing an implosion. Near an implosion because the last time I talked about the treasury difficulties, the treasury troubles. Now, we heard on Cameroon Calling yesterday, the treasury boss came out to confirm what I said, that they were not able to pay bills, to pay money to business people right from 2016 until this moment. And was claiming that some 35 billion has been set aside to make sure that they service that debt, that they'll pay 2016, 2017, and then start 2018, whose budget is finding difficulties with the execution. This coming out is just to try to calm down the tensions that are already mounting. This is because they don't have money. So we just need to continue. We just need to hold on firm. Let us remind ourselves that when we celebrate athletes that have come up with gold medals, we think that the gold medals are really just made of gold. But let me quote Dan Gable, who says gold medals aren't really made of gold. They are made of sweat. They are made of determination. They are made of a hard-to-find alloy called guts. We must have the guts to continue. We must have the guts to keep this struggle firmly alive. We must have the guts to ensure that at no point in time do we surrender just when victory is next door. I really want us to be alert, very alert at every given moment. For this last thing that I want to say to close this communication, let me say it in broken English. Make a talk to them for pidgin so that make all man hear. We dey for war situation. When you dey for war situation, everything wey dey happen make you look am with suspicion. We mean say you look at your back every now and then as you dey waka dey go, you always turn look back for make sure say no man dey follow you or no man never hide for some side. Any measure wey your enemy take am, think am 2 times. Now why that way the other day, I don send out message for talk say una dey receive for una phone dem some SMS wey e can talk say make you choose the language wey you go like say make dem can communicate with you for day. Choose either French or English. Send message. If na French, you take 1. If na English, you take 2. Send the message so that they go communicate with you better. For all these years, with that telecommunication company, they Cameroon, where they do business in Cameroon, who they use their who would use their services them. They don't communicate with now with which language. Maybe they always send the same message for French and for English. Maybe we talk say that country in a bilingual country where everything is supposed to be for French and English. So when they did not talk, say choose your language, whether na French or na English. Now because they want to start send monolingual messages, I like more shine your eyes. When any of these kind of things that happen, more always ask yourself questions. Shine your eyes. Make no man no go ahead for choose the right language because this one employ. They don't use all kind. They never get the money again for buy the kind of technology where they be chasing. They go buy that technology for just stand from afar, identify say this one na Southern Cameroon and get this number, monitor and that one na La Republic person get the number, make them live and quiet because they never be able to get money for do that kind of technology. Now they want use cheap method. Say make we say take with one hand tell they say okay, may I be English, may they start monitor you, may they start monitor all your calls. For now they monitor the calls them at random, but they be difficult for select truly who be who. So they want narrow them down that way. And they want know how they go fit track we down more, cause we more trouble. See, some people that talk say just delete the message. I agree, if you just delete you one time. But if we too want turn the thing against them, if we want confuse them the more, all we choose French. When all we choose French as a language, they will not get themselves say this so that people they will find themselves so maybe they're only a handful, a small bunch. These people na evil people. When I say they don't start go down to this kind of level, now because it don't pass them. Now because we don't overcome them. Now because God will give we grace. Now because that story for Bible between David and Goliath it come true. Because their so-called army where they say be well trained and professional, they meet their Waterloo for we land. Now why they don't resort to this kind of cheap, dirty, useless tactics? Country people, make man not pay attention to this kind of people then this other thing I've just talked a while ago for English, I talk again for pidgin more yeah fine. Some people them deal with the worker. They send message and the cash with farmers them. Cash with poor people them say may they can't pay the ransom, they collect 1 million, 2 million, this and that. And then send message say, so once if you don't send money, they go capture you. You must send money quick. That one them not be Ambazonian fighters. That one then Paul Atanga and G people the way don't send and make they can't do this is so that make we population start talk say, hey, these Ambazonian fighters now bad people them, they don't start turn against their own people them. Just so that make una turn against una very picking the way they fight for protect una. Make all man be vigilant. I don't send word out. And I know say the various commanders or the various groups that they send word out for their people, may they check for their meats, may they check all sides, identify these people them, take them out of a meat so that this nonsense it goes stop. Southern Cameroonians and Ambazonian fighters, na noble people the way they even be more professional than the trained army from La Republic where they know what way they do. They know the international conventions where they govern this kind of conflict. They know say their war, their fight, now for protect we, now for protect who papa them, who mommy them, who granny them, make they no burn them for house again, now for protect who sisters them, make they no rape them again, now for protect who business them, make they no come take everything go with them. So country people, make una continue for support una fighters, every way we una fit. Make we support with fighters. We must support with fighters well, and then we go make sure say they dig out this people the way they cause this kind of confusion. They send them out. They send them, make they go meet up Atanga Ponji for outside where they make they begin do that bad party for that side where they do them. Man come carry peace plan bring them. We're gone for one hand. It won't be 2 days. He say, I don't give you 30 days. If when I don't keep that arm down, I go wipe on out like ants. Oh, God, they would we.